Hi, welcome to EDSC 561. This is Crisis Prevention and Intervention, and my name is Mrs. Professor Bobo, and I'll be your instructor for this course. This course prepares our students to be able to define what a crisis is, identify appropriate responses, and develop any types of intervention strategies that might meet the needs of individuals, groups, or the school community before, during, and after the crisis response. Also, in addition, we'll articulate the roles of a comprehensive school counseling program in the crisis, post, and crisis plan. Students will demonstrate the knowledge of trauma-informed care procedures and essential counseling skills in individual and group counseling. It will include, but not be limited to, addressing social emotional concerns, mental health needs, crises and traumas, and all barriers that students that affect the student achievement. For our course, I'll be sharing with you. Our book is School Crisis Prevention and Intervention, and this is the third edition. So make sure you have the appropriate edition. And it's by Mary Margaret Kerr and I'm sorry, Gary Kerr, the second edition, making sure that you have the second edition. So this book is written in the format of in chapters 2 through 10. We will be using lots of the case studies that are in that as they tie into your assignments. So what we're going to do is start reviewing some of the assignments that are due for this course. The first assignment is a case study reflection. It is due week 2, and we'll be covering chapters 2 and 3. So again, in the book, chapters 2 through 10, there are case studies that open up the chapter. You're going to provide a 2 to 4 page reflection paper per chapter. And you're going to use the 2 case studies that are found in chapters 2 and 3. And you're going to use at least 3 APA references that are required, with the book being one of them. And you can also use any examples from current news, internet research, or materials that I give you as the instructor. What you're going to do in this reflection is explain the case study. What's your personal opinion about the topics discussed in the case study? How does the case study relate to school counseling or the field? And reflect on what you have done or will do in the future if you're faced with this crisis. Now, all of our assignments should be using the required template for APA format, which you can find under the writing section of our Canva course. So make sure you just download the template and utilize the template. This includes the title page, your headings, your subheadings. Many students tend to forget the subheadings. Also, it is important to use citations, because the majority of this is not your work, and you'll be quoting from professionals in regards to crisis and crisis management. And then making sure that you have a reference page as well. So our first assignment is case study reflections. You're going to use the 2 case studies that are listed in chapters 2 and 3. And you're going to write a 2 to 4 page reflection per chapter on each of the case studies. And you're going to include your APA, your citations, your subheadings, and everything. All right. And that assignment is due week 2. Your second assignment is a risk assessment practice and procedure. So in this assignment, at the bottom of the assignment page, there is a scenario. The scenario involves a student who verbalizes signs of suicide ideation. And your task is to conduct a risk assessment for the student and develop a plan to address such a crisis with the student and the family. The purpose of this assignment is to make sure that you apply crisis intervention skills, practice a risk assessment, and develop skills in crisis counseling. So in this APA format, you are going to write a paper providing an overview of the counseling procedures detailing key steps involving crisis intervention. You're going to conduct a risk assessment for the student based on the scenario provided. And this assessment should include identifications of risk factors, protective factors, and an evaluation of the student based on the risk screener. Again, you're going to use the required template to assist you with this assignment. Assignment 3 is a group assignment. I have placed you in groups of 4 as there are 12 students in the course at this time. And you will create a 10 to 20 slide presentation of the different crisis study cases that are found according to in the chapters that you are going to be assigned to as a group. So I will send out that information and you will be assigned your chapters. So each group is going to provide 10 to 20 slides, and you will do a presentation of these slides during our week 7 live session. So you're going to include also 4 references from outside sources, with the book being one of the 4. You can also use current information from the news, internet research, or materials. And in your chapter presentation, you should give an overview of the case. Make sure to use visual aids, not just words on the slide. What is your collective personal opinion about the topics discussed in the case? Reflect on what you have done or will do in the future if faced with similar crises. Relate each case study to a school counselor. What would the school counselor's role specifically be? How would that be different from that of an administrator or another employee, or how would it be the same? And include at least one slide that has postvention for each crisis. Okay. So again, I will be assigning those the first week in week 1. So you'll know what chapters you are and who is in your group, and give you an opportunity to meet up with them and begin with that. So your book is extremely important in this particular class because all of the assignments are tied to these case studies. So getting the book is really important. Your final assignment is your signature assignment. And just a reminder, as in all the other classes, it's important to complete the signature assignment in order to receive a grade for the course. You may have done all the work, but if you aren't able to turn in that final signature assignment, then it does not allow you to pass the course. So on this one, during our week 5 session, you're going to obtain a copy of your school or district's crisis plan. This should be easy to get if you have access to the school plan, or if you're an employee of the district in which you are going to use. All right. So if you're not an employee of the district, try to find someone who has access, like if you know a school counselor, or if you have a teacher friend that can print that out for you. Use that district, even if it's not a district that you're related to, but use your resources The reason why I say this is because each employee has access to this crisis plan. And it is usually a public document. And the reason why it's a public document for all employees, that is so that they know their role. And we are trained on this annually. And so each person who does the training goes over the role and responsibility for a crisis team and what they need to do. What is the role of the teacher? What is the role of the team? What is the role? And then it spells out everything that the team should accomplish in a crisis situation. So make sure that you have someone that can give you or download this crisis plan. And so the first part in week 5, you're just obtaining the crisis plan. And then you're going to formulate questions based on the reading on crisis plans and class discussions of this topic. And you're going to create 4 essential interconnected questions regarding prevention, preparation, response, and recovery. And these questions will be attached to your paper in the appendix. So not just the answers, just the questions that you plan to ask. And they should be split up into these 4 categories. All right. Now, the paper is due week 8. So in week 5, it's prepping you to make sure that you have the crisis plan and you have your questions ready. Then during week 8, when you're writing your paper and your paper is due on Wednesday of week 8, you're going to interview people, at least 3 individuals, about the crisis plan at the school. So a school psychologist, a nurse, an administrator, a teacher, custodian, counselor, secretary, and you're going to record their responses to your questions. In your interview, you're going to ask about a crisis that maybe they have experienced on campus and their experience using the crisis plan. You're going to write a well-written paper regarding the district's crisis plan, the plan as it is understood by the school personnel, and your critique of both the plan and the buy-in at the school site. How has the plan been used and tested? How did it work? What were the potential problems? How did you identify what was some of the problems? And how would you address these problems? Now, this paper should be approximately 5 to 7 pages, APA format. And it should have all of the areas of the APA. You should list at least 3 outside sources. And you're going to prepare and present the information that you've gathered in the week 5 lesson. So week 5 is formulating the questions and obtaining the crisis plan. Week 8 is writing the paper, answering all of the questions for the paper, and then turning the paper in, which is due Wednesday of our week 8. All right. So that covers all of the assignments for this course. And a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Professor Bobo. I've been teaching here at Concordia since the inception of the school counseling program. I've taught all of the courses here in this school counseling program, the new ones and the old ones. And I look forward to seeing you during week 1. Thank you.